screen dark.
Okay, it's recording now. Oh, okay. Oh, went dark. Oh.
Where's my little button? See, I can't get to my button here. Come on. There we are.
Ready?
Nope. I knew that was going to happen one day.
Okay, are you ready?
Okay.
3, 2, 1.
It's time for the Chips and Salsa Show. George, do you have me on here?
Yeah.
Great. Hey, I'm
Wait,
Alice
no,
Lara.
It's
Oh,
not started. I just wanted to make sure we got. There we go. Yeah.
I'm going to get closer.
Are you ready?
Okay.
Oops. Okay, perfect. And live.
Okay. Did you press the button? Yeah.
It says rotate your camera or something.
You're okay?
I don't know if it's. Yep.
Sorry, guys, if you could see us.
It said rotate. So I don't know if
Sounds
it's.
good.
Squeeze around more.
That's okay.
There we go.
All right. Sorry about that, guys, but we are here. It's time for the Chips and Salsa Show. I'm Alice Lara. Behind the camera, he'll soon be at my side, is my partner in radio crime, Facebook live stream crime.
Don Jorge.
Dun-da-da-da. We're here every Thursday night at 7 p.m. We broadcast live here on Facebook. Typically, usually, we are on YouTube, but we are not on YouTube tonight, right, George? Or do you have us on YouTube?
Yes.
Oh, we are. Okay, cool. We are. All right, so you can also watch us on YouTube. So if something happens and you have to go away from this broadcast, don't worry, because you can come back and watch us on Facebook or on our YouTube channel as well. So thank you for joining us this evening. We've got a really great show. We're going to be talking to Janet Jackson here about her Kids Foundation and Space Camp and some really cool stuff.
Janet
We're also-
Jackson.
Jenna. I know we always say, we should have, some Janet Jackson music
That's
going on
right,
here.
that's right.
What have you done for me lately?
See, it's showing it sideways. It's showing it
Okay.
sideways.
It's showing sideways? Oh, we're sideways. Okay, well, he's going to adjust us in just a moment. So I'll just do the show
Oh, wait
like
a
this,
minute.
right? I'm doing the show like this.
Okay.
And we also have to do a wonderful D-Day presentation for us. Our good friend Mark Del Maestro, and he hasn't been on the show for a while, so he'll be here very, very soon. George is checking us out. He's our technical director tonight. Are we okay? Can you turn the volume down there?
I'm doing that.
This is live, okay? So it's fun. Don't worry about it. Don't worry.
Sorry.
I'm going to do some housekeeping real quick before we get into our show. I want to let you know, George and I had the coolest weekend. Last Saturday, you know what we did?
Yep. We sure did.
Our women's club, my women's club, he's also a member too, even though he's a guy. Greater Phoenix Republican Women. We were thrilled and honored to host a coffee talk with our good friend James T. Harris of the James T. Harris Show from KFYI. And he was there for like a couple of hours. We got to talk with him. Jana was there, George was there, and take pictures. And we thank him very, very much. We appreciate it. It was a lot of fun. He inspired us more about our Republicanism and getting ready for 2020. So that's a big shout out to James T. Harris. We really appreciate that.
And he is so dynamic,
He's
huh?
dynamic. He is so funny. He is
great.
dynamic. He's incredible.
He is great, and he's so solid.
Yes.
I really think he
Yes.
should be national.
Yes.
So if anybody's watching out there, James T. Harris, and you have some power, make this guy a national talk radio guy
Yes.
because he's edgy, he's funny, he's smart. He was a history teacher before.
Yes.
He knows what he's talking about. He's a fellow minority, which is even powerful because the liberals hate that. They hate that we're Latinos and we're black and we are conservatives, Republicans. They don't like that. So we do. And that's one of the reasons we have the show. We do the show because
That's right.
we are here to tell you just because we are brown, we're not Democrats. We used to be. We used to be Democrats.
We're
I
brown?
don't know. Were you a Democrat ever? Never.
But
Oh,
I
no.
was born in a Democratic house.
We were.
My dad was a Democrat.
Is that right?
Flew a flag every day in front of the house. I mean, he loved his flag, but he was a Democrat. He really didn't know.
Well, my parents were Democrats too, but conservative. They were conservative Democrats. So that's one of the reasons that our show exists. And another, as long as we're talking about the Greater Phoenix Republican Women, we are going to have our monthly meeting coming up on Wednesday, George. And you'll be there? You'll be there? Maybe Mark will be there too. And we are going to have my boss will be speaking, Stan Barnes. And he is a lobbyist. He is on the Arizona level. And he's going to kind of give us an update of what happened at the legislature, the Arizona legislature. He's also, you see him on political punditry. In fact, today I talked to Fox News out of Denver. They're going to be in town next week because there's a Julian Castro town hall. And they're going to come interview my boss, Stan Barnes. So he's everywhere, right? And also speaking will be State Senator Kate Brophy-McGee. So if you'd like to come, go to our Facebook page for more information, Greater Phoenix Republican Women, or email me if you'd like, or talk to me on Facebook, and I'll hook you up. It's at the Blue Water Grill, which is over in the 16th Street and Camelback area. We usually start like about 5:30. We have a social hour. We start the meeting about 6:15. Great food. It's only $27. You get wonderful food, wonderful company, and 2 super duper speakers. All right, so the other thing I have to tell you is my LD, Legislative District 27, we're going to have our drawing because we're doing a drawing. We have to call it a drawing for a weapon, I'll say, because I don't even like to say the G word. Maybe Facebook might cut us off. But anyhow, that's going to be on Tuesday night, and we start our meeting at 7 o'clock. You can come before before that time, because we have a social hour, and that's over in the South Mountain area. Go to our page, which is South Mountain GOP, and it'll have all of that information, and we hope that you can be with us and hang out. We do have, I'm trying to think of the speakers that we're going to have. I think we are having Nathan Jewell with American Heritage. He's going to be speaking to us, and if I can remember the next speaker, I'll tell you who it is. Do you remember, George? I don't know. Okay. All right, I also want to wish a happy birthday to, do you remember my cousin, Dr. Wayne Schlingman? Schlingman?
Yep.
Okay, today's his birthday. Happy birthday, Wayne! Yeah, and Wayne is a astro guy, I call him, Dr. Sky. He actually runs the planetarium at Ohio State University.
He's spaced out.
He's spaced out. Yeah, he's part of my family, so yeah, that's pretty much. But hi, Wayne. Hopefully he'll be in town soon. Maybe he can come do the show.
Yeah, he's
Always
a very
fun.
good guest. We had him before.
Yeah, he's a good guest. He knows his stuff. Absolutely. Okay, and we've got some great shows coming up. We've got a great show tonight, and next week we have Reverend Clyde Bowen, who's always
I know that's
awesome.
going to be awesome.
Yeah, he always has all kinds of good stuff to share. And after that, we have Moses Sanchez. And we're just, on pins and needles because he has an announcement of what's his next adventure. We're ready for that. Those of you who may not know, he ran for mayor of the city of Phoenix. He did not win, unfortunately.
And he has a special announcement on our show. We don't know what it is, but
I wonder if he's going to do it before or after. We'll see.
know.
But we're excited about having him. And then the last part of the last Thursday, we are going to have Jen Harrison with American Patriots.
Well,
And I
they're
just
going
talked to her
through-
today.
Yeah, they're going through a little bit of a
The Southern
tizzy.
Poverty Law Center, do I have that right, is going after them.
both of the organizations, because they have 2 organizations. There's AZ Patriots and Patriots AZ, which is an offshoot of the first one.
Mm-hmm.
So they have 2 organizations, and
And they're going after both of them?
they're going after both of them.
Oh, man. But it's, so by then, hopefully, we'll have a little bit of follow-up and she can bring us up to date.
I like their courage because they actually go out and they confront these people getting off the buses, not personally, but the people that are supporting them and moving them to the different locations, and they're just questioning them, and I guess they're taking heat for that.
And what I've seen, George, and maybe you have too, when I watch their videos, and they're very respectful. I've never seen anything because they know what they're doing. Everything's on camera.
And Jennifer
Why would they do
does
something
carry her
like that?
gun, but that's all she does, is just carry it. I guess that's intimidating to some people. I don't see nothing wrong with it. This is a right to carry state, as long as you don't pull it out and you threaten people with it, and so does Lisa. Lisa carries too.
And they've been on our show, and so, like I say, we're hoping to have them the last Thursday. And then, you know what? In July, the first Thursday is the 4th of July, so we may not have a show that day. Might be
Yeah.
out. unless we're doing something really cool, then we'll just bring you along with us for 4th of July.
Yeah, we have a few things happening the 4th of July.
We're having a party at your house, right? Pool party.
That's right. I always have a party.
Pool party, George's house. Everyone's invited. Woohoo!
Yeah, that. Well, you're going to talk about the camp that's coming up. She
So
has
before we get to Janet,
Right.
any other announcements, George, that we need to talk about? Your LD, what are they doing?
They're well, we have a meeting this Saturday. The Maricopa County is having a meeting,
Luncheon, yeah.
a luncheon, and it's going to be at with the
JW
Sheraton,
Marriott at
or
the
the
Desert
Marriott.
Ridge, I think.
Yeah, and it's they're going to have a few people speaking there, and it's going to be
We
a
have
nice.
Congressman Getz, is that how you say his name? Gaetz. He's awesome. We have our state treasurer, Kimberly Yee.
Kimberly
Will
Yee.
also be a speaker there. And there's another woman too. See, usually I have all my paperwork I don't have in front of me, so my bad. But we plan to be there. You're going to be there. Mark's going to be there too. And if you're, it's to honor the PCs also.
Yep, it's
Precinct
to
committeemen.
show special recognition to the PCs and all the hard work they're doing in all the legislative districts, and they awarded like PC of the year for each legislative district. So it's going to be interesting. Every year, it's a good luncheon.
And I'm going to take a minute too. If you would like to get active in politics, you know, maybe you watch our show and you follow politics. One of the best ways to do that is to become a precinct committeeman. You can be appointed if there are slots available in your precinct. It's really the grassroots where you're in touch with your community and you can make a difference. I mean, we've been doing it for a few years, a lot of us, and it's a way to make a difference. So think about it. Maybe you want to check it out. Find out what your legislative district is. Call the headquarters here if you're in the Arizona area. The number is 602-957-7770. I've called that enough, I know it by heart. And ask them to find out who's the chairman. Call the chairman, go to a meeting, check it out. You know, check it out.
Get
Because
involved.
we need all the help we can for 2020, and not just nationally, statewide.
The thing is that you become involved in your party, in your neighborhood. You become a member of the Republican Party in your neighborhood, promoting the Republican values, getting out the vote, and really just being part of the system. And we all want to elect Trump for 2020. So if you're on board, just
go for it. All right. Okay, I think we can get our actual show started now. We really appreciate you joining us this evening, and you're not going to be disappointed that you did. Our very first guest is the wonderful, beautiful Jana, not Janet, Jana Jackson. Yay. Thanks for coming, and she is with
Thank you
Kids
for having me.
Foundation,
Yes.
KIDS. We've had her on before. So first off the bat, just in case there's somebody out here who doesn't know what that is, she's a teacher, I should say too, a high school teacher, and has run for office, politically involved, known her now for a while, and just we are in love with her. And she's going to tell us about her foundation and what's going on.
Well, KIDS stands for Knowledge, Integrity, Discipline, and Spirituality. The ideas have always been in my mind, even as a child. There's some things we should do in education, because for me, I live education. I live teaching. And being a teacher, I can see lots and lots of ways that we can help our kids. So after I lost the election, I just kept thinking God didn't tell me to do something, and then all of a sudden just dropped me here on the floor. I'm thinking, what should I do? And it just came to me that was my first step. So running for office gave me the opportunity to think about what I should be doing. And you know, my father raised money for kids in Chicago all of his life. He was the regional vice president of an organization called the Guardians, and the Guardians were police officers that did good things for kids. And he spent all of his life raising money. He was one of the members with, they had a group of men that were Masons in Chicago, in which the African American men in the 50s and 60s actually formed an organization to raise money for kids. And he was number one person working for Jerry's kids. So he always said you need to serve people. And so I said it's time for me to get up and do something. I mean, not just go to school and teach, but actually do something for the kids that need something to be done. And naturally, I'm going to gravitate to education. So I formed a foundation, and it's Janet Jackson for KIDS, and that stands for Knowledge, Integrity, Discipline, and Spirituality. And what the dream is to be able to take kids when they are in kindergarten and prepare them to become a part of the workforce where we right now are in deficit. And a lot of people don't realize that we have these brilliant minds that become engineers, and they graduate from all of these universities, and they're not able to be employed by certain companies. And so therefore, they go out of our country to get people to become engineers. The crazy part about that is that they have to have a secret clearance. So I'm not against people from other countries coming into our country working, but I am against not being able to have enough students being prepared to be these top engineers.
That seems so un-American.
Yes.
Because you know what America is known for, education, and we promote that. And what happened with that breakdown? All of a sudden, why do we need engineers? We need scientists. What happened, Jana?
Well, I think in the education system, the breakdown is in science and math. And so if you have a breakdown in science and math, you have a breakdown in certain fields. So you have the physics and chemistry supports our engineers, and biology in high school supports our doctors. So biology or environmental science, those sciences are the ones that field will gravitate to. Well, you have to have physics and chemistry and math in order to gravitate to becoming engineers. And because we have a deficit in our education system, when we look at where our children are scoring, then that's saying to everyone, we have this deficit, so what are we going to do about it? And so running for political office, I was saying, there are things that we can do, and let's do it. And people were saying, well, it's very political, and so you have to run for office. And so I ran for office. I didn't make it, and I said, well, I'm going to keep on going. And the area that we focus is basically engineering. So we take kids and we do camps called space camps. Now, aerospace science, I work for NASA as an aerospace education specialist. So being able to take the aerospace science down to kindergarten is almost natural, because that's what I live. I live teaching in my field. So I was able to take it down to the kindergarten level and teach, and parents are absolutely amazed. They go to the camps. Like yesterday we had a camp, and they sit down and they say, my son really knows physics concepts. Well, I'm an engineer, or I'm a teacher, or I'm a doctor, and they're just amazed. Well, all the kids can learn this, so we start with kindergarten, and then we go all the way through to high school. And in high school, we have a program called Mentoring Athletes, kids being mentored by professional athletes. And why professional athletes? Because those are the ones that the kids see as superstars. Mm-hmm. So if you ask someone, who is your favorite basketball player? They can name that person. So in this dream that I had, I said, why not take these professional athletes and have them mentor the kids? And then also thinking of my father and how he wanted mentoring to happen in Chicago with some of the players there, and in Louisiana with some of the players that were getting that were going sideways because they really and truly were missing parts of society of understanding what they needed, because they were coming from certain areas, like the area I was born in the city of Chicago. So I said, why not have a mentoring program in which the young athletes are mentoring our kids, but we are also mentoring the young athletes. And so I put the two together. And so the program was just an incredible success. So it's still small, but this year we're going to have the LA Dodgers. We're going to be working with the LA Dodgers, and we worked with them last year, but we have added the White Sox and the Cardinals. Nice. So being able to have this program now takes us with these kids, teaching them what they need, going from the 9th grade to the 12th grade. And then after the 12th grade, in the 9th grade, we're going to start, we have a program that we started that will start January 2020, in which we will take a cohort of young men and women and train them to be engineers in 9th grade. And see, that's the key. When you look at the other countries, they take their kids into that field in ninth grade. But we don't. We take them into the field and we give them all different kinds of subjects. But what would happen if we took the kids from school after they've attended school and just started mentoring them to become engineers when they are 13 and 14 years old, and continue the mentoring throughout their college years, which means now we're mentoring now college students that are now going 4 years in college. And then when they finish, they have these mentors that are engineers that will bring them on board into their companies. And our students would be able to apply for, instead of working at McDonald's when they're 16, why not work as a intern
Sure.
in a company?
Makes a lot of sense.
Makes a lot of sense to
Mhm.
me. So anyway, we put the pieces together. I drew up a roadmap, which people did not, they were so amazed. Oh, this roadmap. I mean, yeah, aerospace science, physics, chemistry, I can do that. And so that's what I did. I drew a roadmap. I went to people at Raytheon and all different companies and say, hey, this is what we can do for our kids, and it worked. So now we have space camp, and now we have 7 of them. Space camps, June 13th and 14th, we're going to be in the Anthem Library. June 21st, 22nd, we'll be in Gila Bend. July 1st and 2nd in Tolleson. July 9th, we'll be in Guadalupe Library. July 11th and 12th, we'll be in Salt River Library. We're working with kids kindergarten all the way through the 8th grade. And then we have 2 that we're planning on 2 reservations. We'll be working with kids that are Navajo, Hopi, Zuni, and Apache. And we're developing a lot of the curriculum now. The one that we finished yesterday, we now are teaching the coding to kids in 2nd grade and kindergarten.
That's terrific.
And we not only have the coding with programs that they're working on our Chromebooks, but we also have the robots, and we have some videotape of the robots as well as pictures. The kids are incredible. They actually took the robots yesterday, a group of I guess maybe 4th graders, and they got underneath the table, and when the other students were coding their robots, they developed a way to hijack.
Oh.
So they were laughing under the table. I kept saying, what's so funny? So you know me, I'm gonna get under the table. I wanna see what they're doing. And what they were doing is they were looking at the students that were hijacking, that were actually working on this coding of the robots, and then they would hijack what they were doing in their coding and put it in someone else's robot.
Wow.
It was
Oh.
crazy.
Wow.
So when we had show and tell, they actually demonstrated how they could hack another robot and put it into another robot. It was crazy, but these kids learned this coding experience, and we had spent one whole day, and their parents were able to see them, and we did this yesterday in the Fountain Hills Library. It was absolutely incredible. And one student even took the coding, and he taught the robot a dance, and then during his presentation time, the robot danced, and he danced with the robot. It was
Oh.
absolutely.
Oh, that's terrific.
It was
Oh,
crazy.
I want to ask you, so if somebody's out there and they're listening to you and say, gosh, I know of a kid that could do that, is it too late to sign up for this, or what
no,
happens?
it's not too late to sign up.
How do they do that?
It's with the READ program. The Maricopa County sponsored us and endorsed us. And so they have opened up their libraries for us to do our camps. Now, this is the key about the camps and the funding. Right now, students can apply in Mesa or Scottsdale or Fountain Hills to go to space camp. And it costs $280 to $320 in these communities. And the kids can go. Our camps are free. So we are working with the READ program in Maricopa County, in which we are going to their libraries and we are doing these camps free. Now, in order to do them free, we have to raise money. So some people ask for foundation money because they want them to support the foundation, but you really don't know where the money's going, but you know that you're helping. So you help with the Cancer Foundation because they help with research, and you help with all different kinds of foundations. But this help is to actually take the kids in the homeless shelters and allow them to go to the library near the homeless shelter to be able to go through a space camp in which we're going to prepare them to become engineers in the end. So it's a foundation that only operates with the help of people. So we desperately need people to contribute to our foundation, because when they contribute, we're a 501c3, but we're a charitable organization. So the IRS gave us the title of charitable organization, just like the Boys and Girls Club. And we don't take from the other foundations, we actually enhance the other foundations. So we can even share kids. We don't do the same things. And that's because our programs are uniquely designed for kids that have difficulty sometimes in learning math and science, and it's just a gift to those that are already on a certain level. So supporting our foundation is so important. And come out and just see what we're doing. You don't have to you don't have to pay. They're going to be in all of these communities all over Maricopa County. Just come in and just see what we're doing, because we have show and tell always at the end, and so we're not talking about this is what we could do. This is what we're doing, and if they could come, it would be absolutely great. And then to donate, because we have a website, and if they can come, if you can go to our website, and our website is www.janajackson4kids.org. So if you go to our website, www.janajackson, Jackson, Jana is Jana, I'm not Janet, but I do sing, but not that well. So www.janajackson4kids.org, and all of the information is there. The gallery should be up by the end of this week, and we also have a Facebook. So the Facebook has the gallery already up, and we'll have pictures of the kids actually working these robots, working on the computers. We'll also have them doing things such as planting seeds. And why plant seeds? Because when you go to Mars, which will be the astronauts that are now in 3rd and 4th grade, they will be colonizing. Those that will be colonizing right now will have to take up seeds. Whatever you take up is what you have. And also, if you don't take Republicans up, you won't have Republicans there.
That's right.
So
this is really important.
So whatever you take up there, that's what you're going to have. We are bipartisan. But the kids have to know this. They have to know whatever they take up. If you don't take God up to the space station, you won't have God. So it's really important to make sure that we bring some of these things into our kids, and we make sure that they're prepared, especially in the math and sciences.
Is there a phone number if anyone wants to contact you, or is it just all on the website?
Well, it's basically just on the website.
Okay.
We do have a telephone number.
Sometimes people like a number to call.
Yes, you can call area code 602-516-4781. So that's area code 602-516-4781. And that's our phone number. We have our website, and we have our Facebook. So please just go on it. I mean, just go. And then when you get the addresses of where we are in the libraries, you'll be able to just come in. In fact, the library we did in Fountain Hills yesterday, we had parents that had taken their children, and so they were knocking on the door and they were saying, well, can we come in? We didn't know that this was actually happening, so we took in a couple of kids, and because it's free, you can just come in.
That's
and
terrific.
just register the kids. You can contact the libraries of Maricopa County Public Library System, and they will be able to tell you what library you're close to. So
these are
so
space camps, and what I encourage you guys to do too, if you're watching it, is share this too, because then more people will get the information and they'll know about these space camps in the summertime. I mean, what a great opportunity. Even if you don't think your kid may not be interested in it, why not take them and expose them to it? Maybe they'll take a friend, maybe they'll find out, wow, and you never know, you could be, like you say, the future colonist of Mars.
When is it going to be in Tolleson?
It's in Tolleson, July 1st and 2nd.
There you go.
And then we're having the Athletes Mentoring Kids June 26th.
June the 26th.
And it will be 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. And it's going to be at Glendale Community College, which is 6660 West Olive Avenue.
Right.
And the lunch will be provided for all of the kids. And then adult participants coming, it's a fundraiser, will be $35. But then again, we have to raise the money so that the kids can have the lunches that are prepared for them.
And what happens at that camp?
At the camp, we're going to have incredible guest speakers. I mean, we have the LA Dodgers and the White Sox and the Cardinal players. So, because they're the ones that are going to be mentoring. And we're hoping that we'll have mentoring for 4 years. And last year we had mentoring, so we'll have all the kids from last year.
Oh.
Plus, we'll have new kids coming in this year. And we have 3 high schools that have made commitments to be there. So we have Phoenix Union High School District, We have Glendale Community School District and Peoria School District.
And who are going to be the MCs on this program?
And we have, ta-da! These people will be putting and getting their guac on right there on the stage.
We'll be on stage,
You'll be on
introducing
the stage.
everybody.
That's right, and we have Dada. Mark's going to be there too. He's going to be one of our presenters, and just a great time. But yes, we have we're going to have a lot of fun. I mean,
Looking forward to it.
we're looking forward to just having as many people come as possible.
$35. That's it. That's
$35.
really, what a great
cheap.
investment.
Yes, $35
To
for
meet
the
some
adults.
of the Cardinals and to meet some of the Dodgers.
Yes.
And they do come. Because I was at the last one where me and Alice, Allison
I couldn't
emceed,
go.
but I emceed for that one, and the Dodgers were there. We had how many? There was like
I think we had like 17. We had
Yeah.
17 LA Dodgers that
they were
came.
on stage, and they were Hispanic Dodgers, but some of them knew English, but we just
Wonderful.
used our bilingual, and then they were so good with the kids, and the kids understood everything they said, and they were so happy. We had the Glendale
Police
Police
Department was
Department was
there.
there.
We're hoping we'll have the fire
So-
department and police department.
So this time we're going to have
Terrific.
the police department there also, besides all these fantastic athletes, and we're going to have speakers.
Yes.
Mark the Maestro is going to be speaking.
And we're-
It's going to be a fantastic day. That's the 26th of June at Glendale Community College. Remember that date. 9 o'clock,
9 o'clock to 4 p.m.
9 o'clock to 4 p.m. Glendale Community College, and everybody knows where that
And
is
if they
in
can
Glendale.
just come for a little bit of it, they don't have to. You don't have to.
Yeah, you don't have to be there the whole day.
And they don't have to eat lunch. I mean, if they just want to come in and see what's happening.
And the reason it's so long is because we talk and then they break into groups, they mentor the kids, and they come back and the kids they actually get on stage and they talk about what they learned from these athletes and from these people that are mentoring them. So it's
And you know what? If you can't go, just write her a big check.
Yeah.
And just
Yeah.
send the
It
foundation.
goes
to a good
not Jen
cause.
Person, the
Yes,
foundation.
yes.
Just write a check and support this cause because wow, this is good stuff.
helping the
amount.
kids. We need to help the kids. The kids, they're just regular kids from the community, and they just get a kick out of this, And you have 3 schools coming, so
Yes,
it's going to
and-
be really nice.
If 1 million people sent $1, I mean just $1. If 1 million people would send $1, we would have $1 million to put into the engineering program that will start January 2020 to support these kids that go to the space camp and the athletes mentoring program. Those are the kids that we're putting into the program to be these engineers. And so if everyone just sent 1 million people out there just $1, and if you go to our website, you can pay with PayPal, and it's right there. You can just click a button on the website, and just $1 from 1 million people. That's just, if I'm going to be thinking, I'm going to be thinking in the millions, right? Send $5, $10, $1,000, $20,000, whatever you want. In fact, we invited Steven Seagal, who is that, well, if you're my age, he's the macho on all of the macho kind of movies. And he's in Indonesia, and he said, yes, if he's here, he will attend, he will speak. But he wrote a book, incredible book, and his partner who helped write the book, is a co-book, he said he will be there and he will
Tom Morrissey.
speak.
Morrissey,
Tom
who we've
Morrissey,
had him on the show.
Yes, he said
Yeah.
he will be there. So we're going to just try to get as many people as possible. And Moses Sanchez, we want to ask him. He spoke last year.
He's a
We
great
want to-
speaker, too.
He is an incredible speaker, and we just want to make it a happy time, but a learning time for our kids. And like I said, these kids are the kids that are in the community that sometimes don't have the opportunity to attend ASU to become engineers. We want to prepare them in 9th grade to go all the way through and then come back and then have an incredible workforce here in our Phoenix community.
And the
So
thing
that's
is,
the goal.
it is fantastic when these kids get mentored. You see what comes out of it is just you feel so good about it. The last time we did it, it was so nice to see how after the kids the kids would come up on the stage and give their presentations. It was fantastic what they had learned, and from the time that we started to the time they got on stage, you saw the change in them, and it was fantastic. It was a great. I enjoyed it. And,
It was wonderful.
and this my friend Jana, she made a promise when she was running for school superintendent. She made a promise that she would do this if she won or if she lost. Or she didn't win the election, but she kept her promise. His promise is kept. She started the foundation, and this is her passion. This is her passion. She worked for NASA. She's working at the schools now, and this lady is doing something that she wants to help the kids, and I'm so
I
amazed
know, we
by
love
you.
her. Can you tell?
Thank you.
Yeah. So please
I love
help
them.
our good friend Jana Jackson help Kids Foundation. Think about it. You know, whatever you can do, go to the website and check it out. That is Jana, Jana Jackson, the number 4 kids.org, and check it out. And we hope to see you there. And every week when we come to the show, we'll be promoting it. So if there's any updates or anything, make sure you tell us, and we'll do that. Anything before we sign off? And she's going to still hang around with us. Anything else that we didn't touch on that you'd like to say?
You are so wonderful. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity.
Yeah.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Remember,
I'm so
June the
grateful.
26th
So
at
very
Glendale
grateful.
Community College.
And then all the other libraries where the space
And
camps
then all the
will be.
libraries were the space camp. And the space camp, this is the poster for the space camp.
Yes.
Uh,
And we're going to leave that
your
with you.
posters are fantastic.
Okay, yeah, leave it. We can
Yes,
have it in the
we're gonna leave
background.
it.
Great
We
idea.
have an illustrator who volunteers his time to do this, so we have
Oh,
incredible
cool.
posters.
And she brought
Incredible
shirts.
people.
See, I have a
We have
shirt.
shirts,
Ba-
yes.
ba-da-da.
I have one back there.
I'm wearing mine.
I
Put your shirt
know.
on.
But you have computers too that they.
Well, yes, right now we have 5 Chromebooks. God is so good to us. We have 5 Chromebooks. We need 20 computers.
Right.
And that's what the goal is right now. We're working on our 20 computers.
Maybe somebody
It's
out there
all-
would donate that.
Yes, I mean, sometimes you just hear about how people hear something and they say, wow, I want to be involved. I want to get involved. And I think if you come to the camps and you see the kids and you see the enjoyment that they're getting, and who could think, you know, these kids are excited about physics. They're kindergarten kids and they're saying the words. That is amazing. I mean, they're excited about mathematics. So you talk about STEM, and this program promotes STEM. And we stay with the Arizona state standards. So when they go back to school, we have actually given them what the state has given as requirements. Because naturally I'm a teacher, so naturally I'm going to write my lesson plans. Teachers are sitting back looking at that, but you have to write these lesson plans. And so you stay with the state standards, and because we want to enhance what the teachers are doing. We don't want to take away. We don't want to be separate from the teachers. We want to enhance exactly what they're learning in the classroom, and that's going to be the way that we can bridge what it is that we feel these kids should have so that they can become our future engineers.
It's going to be great. So please support Jana and her foundation, the Kids Foundation, which is knowledge, integrity, discipline, spirituality.
And we'll keep you updated every
We
week.
will. And we're going to keep her. She wants to hang out with us
Hang
too.
out,
Great,
yes,
wonderful. We'll
yes.
keep up the posters to remind you. And now we're going to invite Mark Del Maestro to come up here. Where would you like him
Mark
to sit,
Del
George?
Maestro.
Shall we take that place?
Yes, I'm
And then
going
if
to
you
just
want,
switch.
you can. We should have switched the chairs over there.
Oh, it's okay.
Do you want to bring that chair up there, maybe? Will that work,
No, it's
George?
good.
That way Jana can join us?
But she won't come out.
All right, okay, then we're cool.
Hello.
Anyway, I would like to introduce our good friend Mark Del Maestro. He has not been here for a while. Oh man, it's been a long
while.
time, huh?
Yeah,
Okay,
it's been a while.
he walked in and I didn't recognize him because usually he's got like a do-rag and his Vietnam vest on and stuff. Like he's, this badass guy that comes in. But no, I'm like, who's that? Oh, it's Mark. Yeah, it's Mark.
I'm incognito today.
There you go. The reason that we invited him.
And he's going to be one of the speakers at the
Yeah, it's gonna be-
Glendale Community College.
Yes,
Right.
and it was great to speak to the kids last year, and I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to it.
He's going to be awesome.
It'll be on my calendar in ink. So
And
So-
ink.
So
Today I was invited tonight to speak about.
I was going to say that. Can you hold on a second? Because I want to tell him about it. I want to brag about you first.
You want to brag about
Yeah.
me? Oh, I
So
hate that.
the reason that Mark is here is because I said, "Oh my gosh, it's D-Day," and we hadn't planned anything. It's the 75th anniversary of D-Day, and I thought, okay, who'd be really good? And I thought, Mark is. Mark is what he does is really a cool thing. He goes to the schools, and he likes to give like a little history lesson. He has a unique perspective. He is a Vietnam vet, right?
Combat
Veteran?
Vietnam veteran, served on riverboats, was in Hue during the Tet Offensive, 1968. lost 3 good men from my boat. I know what war is, so I talk to the kids about lessons of war that pertain to them, how great America's freedom is, and God's work, and why we're a nation under God. And when I'm done, the kids understand what America is really all about. So I'm honored to be invited here today. I want to get right to
Great, and we
to
really
D-Day
appreciate you coming.
and how important that day was. America in the late 30s and early 40s believed that we could be a nation unto ourselves, that we could be isolated from the world, the oceans would protect us, and everything we needed was right here. We had all the natural resources we needed to take care of ourselves. And the war started in Europe, and it started in Japan and the Far East, and America said, well, it doesn't pertain to us. And the attack on Pearl Harbor woke us up, and we realized we could no longer be isolated from the world, that we had to embrace the world. And the ongoing conversation for the rest of our lives will be, how does America embrace the world? So we get our allies together, and we were not prepared for war. We almost lost World War II because we were not prepared for war. And all of America got up to fight the Germans and the Japanese onslaught. And we came together, and we made the planes and the ships, and we trained the men, and we arrived in England to invade Europe, and there was the Germans and the Japanese were fighting a war of conquest, and the United States and its allies were fighting a war of liberation. And the difference is huge, and you need to understand the difference. It's completely huge. So on D-Day we invaded Normandy in France, and we got a foothold and started to proceed to take back Europe. And when the war was over, France got France back. The French got France back. And the Poles got Poland back. And Norway got Norway back. And all the countries that had been taken over by Germany were returned. And even the Italians got Italy back, even though they were on the German side. They had enough of a resistance within the country to get Italy back. So there was no need for martial law in Italy, and Europe was saved by the United States. So United States conquered Europe, if you want to look at it like that, but it was really a liberation. And everything that the Germans took in art, in treasure, that we tried to give back. We didn't take it back to America and keep it for ourselves. We tried to give it back and find its rightful owner. And of course, most of those people had been killed. And it was a huge undertaking to rebuild Europe, and the United States was part of it. So we were fighting a war of liberation, and our enemies were fighting a war of conquest. How do we bring that to today? There are Sharia law Muslims who want, their goal is that every human being on earth will become a Muslim. So they're fighting a war of conquest. And by killing Christians and Jews, you're not just killing those people. They especially like to go into schools, because when you kill the children, you've killed all the children that they would have had and their parents would have had. So you're killing generations by killing the children. You kill an old person, you killed an old person. You kill a child, you've killed all the children that they would have had in their. So it's
Attacking the future.
So we're fighting against a war of conquest. We're fighting liberals and progressives who want to change fundamentally freedom in America to socialism, where they are in control and they tell you what to do. And I'm saying to some of the Democrats, why would you stop aborting a baby at 9 months? Why don't you just go right to 18 years old? And this way you have total control. So if you catch a kid praying or saying the Pledge of Allegiance, you can abort them, and there's your control. Why would you stop at 9 months? Just go right to what you want. It used to be you couldn't have an abortion, and then you got, well, abortion in the first 3 weeks was okay, and then it was okay in the first 8 weeks, and then it was okay in the second trimester, and now it's okay in 9 months, and they're even talking about after the baby's born, it's okay. Well, just say what it is that you want. You want to go right to 18 years old, you should say it. Why stop at 9 months? It makes no sense. I mean, tell them what you want. You're going in increments, because if you said 18 years, everybody would be appalled. Like, oh, you can't abort my kid at 16. Well, he was praying to God. He said God in school. How terrible. And we're losing our sensibility, we're losing our direction, because we were created under Jewish and Christian beliefs that we are a nation under God, and we have a covenant with God. We have a covenant. The United States has a covenant with God that we are supposed to be the greatest nation economically, militarily, and spiritually. So powerful, so strong, that our enemies would cower in our shadow, and the world would be a safer place. And you can actually see the difference from the last administration, who was saying we are no longer a Christian nation. You couldn't say a prayer in school, and our enemies were rising up. North Korea was shooting rockets, and China was building more and more warships and taking overseas, and Russia was flexing their muscles. And then Donald Trump got elected, and all of a sudden he's bringing God back. You could say a prayer. He says prayer.
He says prayer, yeah.
He's strengthening our military. Our spiritual
Speaks about
liberty
pro-life.
is coming back, and you can see our enemies slowly receding. North Korea no longer is. China is. They don't know whether to run or keep. You know, they don't know what to do now. Russia's kind of been quiet. I mean, there's been collusion between Trump. The collusion was between Hillary when she took $145 million for selling uranium grade to the Russians. I mean, how would you sell them nuclear grade uranium to make bombs to our enemy?
Well, the liberals don't want to talk about Hillary. You know that.
Well, I don't care about talking about Hillary. I'm talking about that she took $145 million for her foundation, and I'll bet you some of that money was used in her in her campaign. Yeah. Well, is that collusion?
Is
or
that
what?
collusion? Yeah.
I mean, that's good, and it's already known. It's not even like you
Right.
have to prove it. But some people think, well, if you put Hillary in jail and Obama in jail, that you're going to ruin our democracy. Well, I hate the word democracy. We're not a democracy. We're a constitutional republic. And what upsets me terribly is because we are a republic, we elect people who represent us.
We're supposed to.
So all the people that are running for office, the first question I ask, do you believe in God? Do you believe in Jesus Christ? Because if you do, then you can represent me. Because I believe in God and I believe in Jesus Christ. And if you don't, how can you represent me if you don't have that fundamental, basic belief? Now, do you believe in the Constitution? Do you believe in freedom? Do you believe in liberty? Those are all questions that, if they answer yes, you can represent me. What upsets me is that 60 to 70% of Christians don't vote. They don't vote. So the opposition knows that. You could take God out of the school. You can't read the Bible. You can't, because the Christians won't stand up. They won't even vote for fellow Christians.
It's that high? 60, 70%?
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Wow, I had no idea it was that high.
Yeah. Now, if it was 60-70% of Christians voting, the bill that came before New York that you could abort a baby at 9 months would have never got out of committee.
True.
It would have never even got out of committee. Because there were too many Christians in the legislature going, we're not voting for that. But because that many Christians don't vote, they're not being represented. And it's not just in New York, it's across the country. It's across the country. So I'm now going to the pastors and the priests and the clergy and the rabbis, and I'm saying, do you know what a black robe pastor is? Have you ever heard of a black robe pastor?
Black robe.
Black robe
Robe.
pastor. A black robe regiment. And they go, no, same response. No, I never heard of a black robe pastor. I said, well, back in the day, when they preached the Bible, they wore a black robe. Because underneath their robe was a uniform or work clothes or whatever they did, and they didn't want to keep changing, so they just put the robe over. And they would preach the Bible from the pulpit in a black robe. Well, this black robe pastor on this day took off his black robe, took his musket from the pulpit, and led his congregation out of his church onto Lexington and Concord to meet the redcoats who were coming to take their guns. And the shot heard round the world was because a black robe pastor was the leader of his flock, who said, you need to stand up with me and bring your guns to the forefront. And that's what a black robe pastor is.
Did you know that? I didn't.
Is that amazing? Now I'm saying to these priests and rabbis and preachers, you need to now become a black robe pastor. You need to tell your parishioners that they need to vote for Christians who believe what you believe. Because we're going down the wrong path. And you need to start leading your parishioners or your
What kind of
flock.
response do you get when you've done this?
Well, God has a plan. And I said, really? God has a plan? I just heard last Easter, 300 Christians were slaughtered in Sri Lanka. And you're telling me that's God's plan? I think you're talking out your ass. Okay, and I don't know if I can say that, but I'm saying it. All right? So I don't think that's God's plan at all. I believe that God wants to know who his warriors are, who believes in him strong enough to stand up and say, I believe in God. And I'm going to vote for people that believe in God so that we can be on the same team. And I think that's what God's looking for. Not to, they're killing my friends. I'm going to pray that they'll stop. Well, I don't think that's what,
It's not enough.
I don't think God wants to hear that prayer. I think God wants to hear the prayer that you found your courage and you were able to stand up against it. And that's what I'm saying to the pastors. And I say to them again, if you're afraid to say anything because you're going to lose your tax break on your church, you have sold your soul for the 30 pieces of silver that Judas sold his soul for. And you can stand with him. And I don't think God wants you standing with Judas at all. But if you think he does, then you will never be a black robe pastor. And they go, oh. And then the people standing around, you shouldn't talk to a priest like that. You shouldn't talk to a rabbi like that. That's a pastor. And I said, oh, somebody has to. And I have absolutely no problem doing it. None whatsoever. Because I don't fall to my knees before anyone on this earth. And when my time comes to stand before Jesus and ask to be forgiven for my sins, I will fall to my knees. And that's the only time I will. As long as I'm a human being. And the reason I won't is because I have been blessed with one of the greatest gifts from God. Not only the gift of life, but God gave me the gift of being born free in the United States of America. And I do not give that up to anyone, ever. So
Nicely said.
you need to get to these pastors and the priests, and the priests have been totally decimated. They just move pedophiles around. I mean, what kind of who's going to them anymore? I mean, what did you do? That was probably the biggest pedophile ring ever in the history of the world. Instead of taking the priest out of the priesthood and putting him in jail where he belongs, they moved him to another place so he could start all over again.
Or deflock them, or
They just shouldn't be there.
they
There's
just
no
shouldn't
reason.
be a priest anymore.
But that was taking. I mean, here you are a priest, and people are looking at you in a completely respectful light, and you're taking advantage of that. Totally, I mean, they're going right to
And
hell.
it
as
wasn't
far as
good.
I'm
It
concerned.
wasn't good for the church. It wasn't,
But it wasn't good for anybody.
Trying to protect.
And
it
they
wasn't good
harmed
for,
these kids from childhood, because they got them at childhood. Well, we knew one, our sheriff in the Pinell County, Sheriff Babu. He was accosted by a priest, and it changed his whole life. And it was so sad to hear his story, And when we heard Sheriff Babu's story, and it brought it to the limelight again. And he was taken advantage by his priest, and it was sad.
Well, I didn't mean to get to that from D-Day.
Right.
It's all connected. The men and the women who died, not only in World War II, but all the wars. Over 1 million Americans have given their lives, and it's truly remarkable for me that we have such men and women among us. But I see God's work, and I'm amazed. Everything is here that we need to survive. Isn't that incredible?
It is.
All the rubber for our tires, and all the metals for our cars and buses and trains and planes, and all the food there's abundance of food, and there's the water, the fuel for our cars. Everything is here. It's all here. And I find
We are blessed. We are so blessed.
Yeah, we are truly blessed. And then you want to change that? You want to take that away? For what? For you can be a socialist or a communist? We killed them in Vietnam. And I don't want to have to do that again. That is not honorable. Everybody says to me, oh, thank you for your service and how wonderful it is. There's no honor in that. I feel ashamed when they say, well, we want to put a medal on you. No, you don't. I don't want that. It's not. There's no honor in that. I'd rather vote them out. I would much rather just vote them out. So I'm begging people, please vote them out.
Mark, I have to ask you, because you go into the schools, and now it just seems more and more the kids are like, oh, socialism? Well, that's cool. What's going on? When you go out there and you talk to the kids, I know you stress that and educate them on it.
Well, I asked them, I said, who wants to be told what to do for the rest of your life? Just raise your hand and you can be my slave. Who wants to be my slave? Because if that's what you want, you can be my slave. I'll put you can do my dishes and do my laundry and scrub my floors, and and I won't do anything but make sure you're fed, and once in a while I'll give you a shower. But who wants to be my slave? Could you just raise your hand? And I'm looking, nobody's raising their hand. I said, well, come on, that's what socialism is all about. You're going to be told what to do, when to do it, how to do it. It's, who wants to be my slave? Come on, raise your hand. Who wants socialism? And there's not one hand goes up. Not one. I said, I thought you guys were into socialism and communism, and, look at Venezuela. And I don't understand why Bernie Sanders isn't down in Venezuela enjoying the full bloom of socialism. Why is he down there with all his buddies? Wow, look at this, is great, this is wonderful. I mean, for Bernie, it'd be like for us going to a concert. You know, if I went to a concert, it's because I enjoy the performance. Well, he should be going down to Caracas, enjoying the performance of socialism, and it's full bloom. Why isn't he down here? What's happening? I keep asking that question, you know, why not, right?
That's right.
I mean, if the kids are going to space camp because they're loving it and enjoying it, it's got to be something good about it, right?
Yeah. Why would you stay in this country?
Yeah, why, you know, why don't, if the socialism is so great, it's in full bloom in Caracas. Go down there and,
He's determined. He wants to make this though. The
yeah,
socialism.
why
He
aren't
wants
you
to
down
bring
there?
it here.
Yeah, why don't you
It's a
at least
horrible
visit?
impression of Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, taking pictures. Wow, look at this. Look what socialism did. Take pictures. Show us. Come back. Wow. You know, I mean, Jenna's doing a great job with the kids. And if you go and you take pictures and you show the kids how, what the, you know, more kids will come because it's good, right? But if you show them what socialism is and you put them in chains and you tell them what to do and they gotta, I bet you none of them would come back.
If they could have that real life
If they
experience.
had a real life experience,
Mhm.
none of them would come back. I go to the schools because I try and impart on young people that they don't really have, no one has a clue what war really is unless you've been in it. And if you think you know, which a lot of these politicians think they know, they become dangerous because they don't have a clue. And then you're putting them in charge and you're voting for them. And then this guy, one of these senators, lied about that he was even in Vietnam. He said he was. And for years, I was in Vietnam, I was doing it. And then he never went. And I'm going, what? And then he gets reelected.
Yeah, that's the thing.
And I'm going, what? So lying is okay now? I mean, when did that happen? When did lying become okay? So it's hard for me to get into the schools now because I tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God, and they can't stand it.
They can't handle the truth. I
And-
want you to, because we're coming up at the end of the show, but if someone would like for you to come and speak to the organization or a school or something, what's the best way to get hold of you, Mark?
Just call me. 201-705-7474. That's my cell. I'll answer it myself or leave a message. And I don't charge any money. I can't put a price on the men we lost. For me, the price is paid. Price of freedom. The price of freedom is incredible. If they could spend even one, I asked the teacher, I asked the principal of a school, I said, can I bring an arm in? And he looked at me, what do you mean, an arm? If I went to the morgue and maybe got an arm off a body and brought it in and passed the arm around and let everybody feel how heavy an arm is and how bloody it could be, and they could get an idea of what it's like to maybe even fill a body bag. Do you think that would be okay? And he goes, hell no, are you crazy? That'll never work. Yeah, but the kids will never forget that day.
Never forget that.
They'll know what war is. They'll have a better taste of what war is than anything else. Can I do that? No. They went nuts. They thought that was crazy. But it would work.
You know, when I had and I think Mr. Swink is gone now, but had to have been high school. And we took a class and it was history after the 20s or something like that. So he actually brought in weapons to school. And it was cool, right? I mean, you're in high school, that could never happen today. They'd probably fire him to do that. But it's, there's so much that can't be done anymore. Our poor kids can't get exposed to it. I'm not saying, I would like to see that. I would do that. But what you do is so valuable because you have been there and you, like you said, you just present the reality of things. And our poor kids, I don't think they get reality. So with the Janet Jackson of the world, the teachers and the space camp, and Mark Del Maestro going into the schools and giving these great lectures and talks, there's hope. It gives me hope.
we're out there. We're still fighting.
Thank you for doing that.
We're still serving our country.
And we appreciate
I
that.
just came back from Jersey, and they said active military can board. So I just was right near the front, so I just went up, and she said, "Oh, you're active military?" And I said, "Lady, you have no clue. You don't know, I have no clue how active I am." She said, "Oh, okay, go ahead, go."
Should let you on.
And weren't you in Rolling Thunder just recently?
Was it Rolling Thunder in Washington D.C.? I spoke with Artie. Artie Muller's the leader of Rolling Thunder. He's the founder, amazing man. And he wanted to stop it because Rolling Thunder raises about $500,000 a year, and they spend it on the veterans. And it's 100% goes to the cause, because Rolling Thunder is not a motorcycle club. It's a group of American patriots who formed a group to raise money to help veterans and to push the cause that Congress and the military should make sure that if you send any American in uniform anywhere in the world, that you need to account for him and bring him home no matter how small the part. So if he's a prisoner of war, you get him out of prison. If he's missing in action, you find him and repatriate him and bring him home, like they're doing now with Korea and
Yeah.
World War II and all the veterans that they're bringing home. So now, after 32 years or 33 years, that mission is pretty good on the completion side, because now it's normal practice for the military to account for everyone and
Good.
bring them home. So
Good.
so now the focus for Rolling Thunder is to raise money and help the veterans who need help. And if they raise $500,000 a year and they spend $200,000 a year to have the run in Washington D.C., he didn't feel that would be, they could use that money to help the veterans. So he wanted to end the run in Washington, because the Pentagon charged them $30,000 just to park in the bikes to park in the Pentagon parking lot for one
Wow.
day, just to
Yeah.
get the permit. And then the under $170,000 is all set the stage up and porta potties and permits to have the run, so that there's more police on the street, and that pays for the more police, and it just got to be expensive. And Donald Trump said, "Well, why can't they come every year? Maybe we can do something about that $200,000 permit." And so I said to Artie, he said, let's have, instead of doing it in Washington D.C., let's have every city have something
Mhm.
on its own, and there'll be more people involved across the country.
Yeah, sure.
And we can do that, and that it won't cost Rolling Thunder anything. They could do it locally and a lot less expensive, and more people would be involved. So my suggestion to Art was have it done every other year. Do everything locally one year, and then the next year come to Washington, and then you'd only be spending half.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
Let's keep that going every other year. So he says, "Well, let's see what Donald Trump has to say." And I said, "Well, yeah, we'll
How
see
does how does that sound when you have all those motorcycles coming down?
It's amazing. Rolling Thunder.
Sounds like Rolling Thunder. Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Very cool.
It's they
I've
have
seen
some-
groups of motorcycles, and it sounds loud. You're talking about 100,000
No,
motorcycles.
it's a 500,000.
500,000 motorcycles. I know I saw part of it on
Your
TV.
plugs. Wow.
What happens is they get about 250,000 motorcycles in the Pentagon parking lot, and another 250,000 just park in Washington D.C. So they park in wherever they can, in bushes,
I bet. An
on
invasion.
the parks. If there's a little grass area, they fill with bikes, and so they park and then walk to the run's only maybe 3 miles actually from the Pentagon parking lot down Constitution Avenue, and then they park in the fields out there, and then but a lot of clubs come, a lot of veterans clubs and military clubs come, and other motorcycle clubs, and then they go back to their hotel, and then they have their barbecues or whatever they do. And then a lot of people come to the Lincoln Memorial for the presentation, because Artie sets up a stage, and they have singers, and of course they're singing all the national anthems, and
It's terrific.
And then they have speakers, and the key speaker this year was the head of, Robert Wilkin is the director of the Veterans Administration for the United States. So he was one of the keynote speakers.
Nice.
And he spoke about how he's working to help the veterans and make the Veterans Administration better.
Good.
And I got a chance to speak with him too. We had some issues. And,
That's great.
so it's all good. You know, we're just doing our thing. Keep serving.
Well, we appreciate that, and you're welcome anytime.
Thank
Give
you.
us a report or veterans report. You shouldn't be as long. We haven't had you back in a long time. So
It's a long time. One thing
just
that I
time
learned
goes quick.
in my combat groups is that everybody should be busy. You should have something to do, and
Mhm.
contribute, and anything, even if it's your hobby or, just be busy and stay connected and stay concerned. And if you find yourself hurrying up and being in a hurry, you can make big mistakes. And if you feel yourself being hurried, stop and take a breath. Take a minute to just go back to being busy.
I like that. Take
Just
a
go
minute
back
to
to
go
being
back to
busy.
being busy.
Because if you get hurried, you can make mistakes that will cost you so much more time and resources and energy fixing the mistake than if it was you just took a breath to go back to being busy.
That's good advice.
So it's just a little
Words of wisdom
words of
from
wisdom.
Mark Del Maestro.
Just trying to help.
And that's what, I know Maestro is like teacher.
The
in-
teacher of the teacher.
right?
That's Italian for of the
Spanish
teacher.
and Spanish and Italian are so close.
Right, and that's I feel good being Italian. I especially like, when I go for Italian food.
Do you cook Italian food?
You guys have dinner tonight? I can take you out for dinner.
Wow,
No,
look
no.
at that. Now I got to get home, but rain check.
Okay,
Rain check.
Rain check.
All right,
check.
good.
I don't have that one check.
Yeah.
Dinner tonight? Yeah,
Okay,
well,
you guys can have some dinner.
We got dinner.
All
so
right,
we're good.
so on that note, we're going to wrap because these guys want to go to dinner. So I want to thank our wonderful guest, Jana Jackson, the Kids Foundation. Please.
She's
support
always
that.
busy.
She's always busy and organized and wonderful. Our other guest, Mark Del Maestro. And thank you for the great D-Day presentation. That was a good way to bring it back to present day.
Yes,
And
sir.
we'll have both of them back. They're kind of our regulars here. And my partner in Radio Crime, Don Jorge. I'm Alice Lara. I want to thank all the chipsters out there. Have a wonderful rest of the evening. And we can't think of our guys and gals enough. And 75 years later, we just can't forget. We have to keep remembering our history. It's so important. So like if you follow me on Facebook, I posted a lot of stuff, and I found some, there's vintage photography, and it's still there. It still exists, and it's fantastic. Share it with your kids. Share it with whoever doesn't really, people like, oh yeah, I know about that, but a lot of young people don't. They really don't. So please take a little time, and if you don't do it today, do it next week. Do it whenever you have a chance. Take a breath and then do it. So I hope you'll be with us next Thursday, 7 p.m. here. We will have Reverend Clyde Bowen. Lots of stuff always to talk about. Anything else, George?
Don't text and drive. Don't drink and drive. Don't leave kids unattended in vehicles in this hot summer. And watch your kids around water, because you as an adult, or you as a parent, or you as a property owner are responsible for those kids. The kids gravitate to the pool. So if we all think the same way, we'll all protect those kids. Kids love the pool. So watch your kids around water.
So have a wonderful rest of the night. Guac on. Thank you so much for being here with
God
us.
bless you
all right.
all. Thank you
Take
for
care
having
now.
me. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. George is going to turn us off, so I just like to stay here so people don't get lonely. Whoops. Did you turn us off already, George? And please share this.
I will.
Yeah.